So he's like, oh, have you ever thought about starting a restaurant before? This is me in my office wondering, you know what, actually, I have this. I do think that I can get anyone to have visible, even if it's not 6, like 4 abs. I love apple pie.
I've never had an apple pie.
Really? Like, oh my God, my first full paying job, salary?
Your soda, what's the thing?
Yeah, exactly, so I can hear what you're saying with my ears. These border cookies, they're buttered.
The buttermilk scotch one.
Yes. I won't confess my full sins, but yeah, no.
Oh.
He's like, oh, Pilates, this, Pilates, that.
All right. Hi guys, welcome to Let's Have Drinks Season 2. I did not end Season 1, but we would pretend like we did. And on today's episode, we have Gbemi Giwa. According to your Instagram, you're an ex-restaurateur turned fat loss coach.
Yes.
But the thing is, I don't like to introduce people.
Okay.
So introduce yourself.
Wow, pressure. I hate introducing myself, but okay. This is exactly what I am right now. I'm a fitness and nutrition coach, and I help my clients essentially get to their body goals, improve their wellness habits, and just have fun doing it. It doesn't have to be a stressful time. That's one aspect of who I am. That's what we should focus on, right? What else would you like to know?
might focus on something else, because when you ask people like, oh, tell me about yourself, just like, I do this, I do this, I do that. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about you recently. So I went on ChatGPT to give me an idea of how to introduce myself outside. I'm a designer and stuff. And it gave me this, like, I think creatively with this and this. And it just sounded so pretentious. I'm just like, how else do we introduce ourselves that we don't talk about work or what we do? Like, who are you?
I feel like it's also context, right? Like you won't someone just met you and then now you're telling them the essence of who you are is a bit much, right?
Yeah.
When I was a bit younger, I feel like when I would introduce myself, I would use so many labels. I would say, because I was a fitness coach, I was a blogger, I worked in marketing, I was doing so many things. So I would like to tell people everything that I was, but I feel like just now I'm just like just one thing, and depending on context, like, and then allow space to, if the conversation follows, say more. So it just, I don't feel like I'm super attached to what I tell people that I am. Just like, if I need to tell you more, then I will.
I really don't know how to introduce myself. Like, hi, my name is Michael. My favorite color is green.
When you telling someone your favorite color, though?
I feel like knowing someone's favorite color is just, it's very, you get to have like different points of view of them. Like, I feel like a lot of people's favorite color is not green.
Is your favorite color green?
My favorite color is green.
And you gave me the green glass.
That's why I asked you if your favorite color was green. Like, why did my green glass for you're the guest? And I think I'm just like, okay, fine. Since you're the guest, you can have the green cup.
Thank you.
No problem. But yeah, today's drink is called a virgin apple pie.
Okay.
And it has notes of apple, ginger, cinnamon, lemon.
Apple, ginger, cinnamon, lemon. I love apple pie. So I'm really hoping to taste apple pie.
I've never had an apple pie.
Really? I love apple pie.
Nothing has really drawn me to it. Apart from, it was Demi's video on TikTok where she was looking for a crumble apple pie from Hans and Renee. Okay. And then I went to Hans and Renee the other day. Oh, by the way, I had 2 scoops of ice cream.
Oh, God. 2?
I said I wasn't going to tell you. And I was like, but yeah, And so I was like, maybe I should try an apple pie. I'm just like, I'm not drawn. But yeah, this is a virgin apple pie. Okay. Let's have a taste, yeah?
Right. Let's do it. Okay.
Thoughts?
It's nice. It's giving me more like ginger lemon than apple pie, but that cinnamon rubs up very nicely. It's not like punchy apple. You know when I drink like an apple drink, it feels very like crisp. Yeah, like
it feels
So, but it's nice, I would drink.
It reminds me of a particular recipe, the apple cinnamon recipe. Like when I had it, I was like, that tastes like that. The oats that you gave me to me. That was that reaction earlier when I tasted it. So what's your go-to drink?
Alcohol or
I mean, we mostly do mocktails here.
Okay, mocktails. I don't even have a go-to mocktail because honestly, like I don't really do mocktails. If I'm going to like drink something, probably like soda water and lemon with a shot of ginger and ice or Yeah, lime juice.
So
Lime juice.
I think that'll be our next drink. Let's see how that will be.
Yeah.
But like you say, you don't really drink cocktails, so and we do mostly cook mocktails here because like I had a very bad experience with alcohol, so I just stopped drinking it altogether. And what would you say between mocktails and cocktails, which is better? Because cocktails is like empty calories, mocktails is like I don't know, sugar.
Yeah.
So which one is like the lesser evil between the two?
I mean, from a very scientific point of view, mocktails would definitely be the lesser evil because technically alcohol is poison.
Oh
Yeah.
no one is like, oh, choose your poison. What's your poison?
It really is. But I mean, in general, I would say like there's nothing wrong in having a drink here or there, as long as you're able to like moderate it and not like do too much. You know, have fun. Yeah.
So what about dry January? Because a lot of people, like I know we're in February now,
Yeah.
so I think the year's like really started. But I'm sure a lot of people do dry January. So do you think like it's a good idea to just go cold turkey and then maybe the same habits will continue from February? Or people do that so that they don't have to continue drinking the way they were drinking previously?
I generally don't believe in cold turkey anything. I think to build lasting habits, you need to do slow. That's what I believe. And it's not just what I believe, like science also shows that. Like, there's lots of research done when it comes to like habit building. But I do find that for some people, having like a shock to the system can be a good motivation to start. But I don't think people go into dry January with the intention of stopping alcohol. I think they just go into like, okay, it's January, I have goals for the year, let me just give up something, you know? And then they don't really have a backup plan for what reintroducing alcohol looks like. A lot of people go off like these detoxes and they just binge, right? So I think, okay, ultimately, what's your goal? Is your goal to just give your system a rest and go back to your normal habits, or is your goal to step away from alcohol? And if your goal is to step away from alcohol, then you need to have like, you know, you need to build the habit slower, and that way it will make it last.
That is very interesting. Because when we started our coaching thing, by the way, she's my fitness coach. So I know I told you that I wanted to start the December prior to January, because January comes with a lot of pressure. And even this year, starting the year, I did not want to do anything January, apart from like maybe the workouts you gave me where I could. I kind of just shied away from making goals. So having like dry January, and people just feel like they need to have that goal going into January, and alcohol seems to be, maybe because people drink also a lot during the holidays.
Yeah, I agree. And yes, definitely. But I think it's also like, I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like most people these days are like stepping away from alcohol. I don't know, it feels that way. You know how like people say like, with social media, like I feel like things I consume is what everybody else is consumed, but like ultimately like we have different feeds, for example. But it just seems like people are more aware about like alcohol consumption. People are making like healthier choices. It seems that way to me. I have a lot of friends who stopped drinking, not for anything, just because it's like why, you know, like a drink is nice, but it's also like it's not necessary to have fun anyway. At least I think so. But don't get me wrong, like I love to turn up with anyone, you know, I love my Dirty December party, I'm out there. But then I think it's ultimately moderation. So if you're someone that really struggles with excessiveness, which is so easy in a place like Lagos, then, you know, just all or nothing might benefit you. But I find that it doesn't really benefit most people, because unless you're really sure you can give that thing up for life, the moment you taste it the next time, you will go crazy. I gave up Coke for like 3 years. The next time I had Coke, it was like someone just poured sugar down my mouth. I couldn't believe how good this Coke was tasting.
The funny thing is, I gave up like soft drinks when I turned, I think, 13. And somehow it just never came back. Yeah, it just stuck. And it's been what? How old am I? Like almost 14 years of not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even recently with the diet program I've been on with you, like things are too sugary now. But then when I had Toblerone, when I had Toblerone, I was just like, wow, this feels like crack.
I think there will always be those things that you're just like, you know, like even now, I wouldn't say I drink Coke as much. Like, I mean, maybe I have like a Coke once every 3-4 months, but I don't, at the back of my mind, it's not like, oh, I cannot have Coke. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't really want it, but if I want it, I'll have it.
Okay. So, per food, you had a restaurant for 5 years. How will you describe the hospitality industry, and how did that like progress into fat loss, and how was the progression from restaurateur to
Yeah.
being a fitness coach?
Okay, very interesting. I love this question. To be honest, it gives a bit weight. There's before the restaurant, it would give more context to what I do right now.
Okay.
So I was in uni, and I started a blog. In those days, I was obsessed with Tumblr. There was just a bunch of stuff. So I was like, yeah, I had a Tumblr and I had like a blog spot, and then I had like a fashion thing at some point, and then I was just like, actually, I really like food, so let's do a food blog. So I named my blog DubaiFitFoodie.com. And at the time, I didn't realize that that name was so SEO friendly. So I started writing and not really having that much followers. But just because people would search like food and I guess fitness in Dubai, my blog was just ranking really highly. So the blog just like grew its own organic following.
Wow.
Back in the days, it was easier to grow anything. So outside of that, like I was like getting invited to like restaurants in Dubai to review them. So I was reviewing a lot of restaurants. I was in uni, by the way, so I'm writing my papers, go back to class, now leave because my uni was outside of Dubai, take a bus to go and review free food. It was just basically the MO. I just used to go everywhere, so it was fun. And then there was this restaurant, very high-end restaurant I reviewed. It was called Boca, and they did like Mediterranean cuisine. So I wrote the review, and I guess the owner really liked the review or whatever. So outside of uni, when I was done with school, I went to uni to study civil engineering. Decided 2 years into my degree that this was not for me. Went 1 year major undeclared, and then I was like, I need to cram 2 years of whatever degree into this because I need to graduate. So I really wanted to go into design. I wanted to do graphic design, but like my uni would require like you needed to do 4 years. So there was another option called design management. And then after that, also outside of uni, I really wanted to work in UX, but like I just didn't.
UX design.
Yeah. So outside of school, like I tried finding a couple of jobs. I didn't really see anything. And then just randomly, the restaurant I had reviewed, because I was like blogging properly, but I'm like, okay, what's going to actually pay my bills? And the restaurant I had reviewed just posted that, they're looking for an engagement executive. And I was like, what
does
this?
that mean?
Exactly. I was like, what does this even mean? It's like, someone that can do their social, talk about the restaurant and food. I'm like, actually, I already like talk about restaurants. It's a side thing, but like if I could get paid to do it, why not? So I went for the interview. Turns out like the owner was like a Jordanian guy, and he actually went to my uni. And he's like, I really loved the article you did on my restaurant. You're hired. Like I was hired on the spot.
Wow.
This is me like coming out of uni. I was like, oh my God, my first full paying job, salary. Whoa, a salary. I was so happy. So it was very much. My parents were looking at me like, first of all, you were going to do. Secondly, you said, okay, design. No, restaurants. Make it make sense. But I didn't care. I was just like, I'm going to do this. I love doing this. And I love getting paid. So I started working there, and my job was just great. It really set me up for like, I guess my foundation in Dubai. I ended up spending 15 years in Dubai. But that first job was amazing because I was working in this high-end restaurant. Essentially, I was talking about the food. So most of the people who were coming there, it's in DIFC, which is basically Dubai Financial Center. It was just like, you can imagine, hub of like business, very like quality people, even the publications I was reaching out to. So I was doing like PR, I was doing social, I was like hosting private dinners. So it just really built my network. And I worked there for a year, and it was just amazing. And I realized, actually, hospitality is an industry that interests me. But I also felt that if I worked there for another year, it would be more of the same. And deep down, I just knew that I kind of really wanted to grow. So an agency reached out to me and basically moved from working for a single client into an agency where I was doing same thing, but for multiple clients. So my biggest, like, I guess, restaurant portfolio was the Jumeirah Restaurant Group. So I was, working across multiple restaurants there. And then now it's like, just telling food stories from different concepts. Like I had like a wine bar. I had like this romantic, Pierre Chic was like this over the sea type romantic French location. I had Fisha was this Thai restaurant. It was very cool because every time I would go to location, it would be like still telling food stories, but from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And that was when I started dreaming up my own food concept, because I'm like, there's no way I can tell all these stories and not like do my own thing. So bear in mind, I was still blogging right? I was still doing my restaurant reviews outside of all of these things. So a restaurant reached out to me to deliver some food to my office, and I saw the name of the restaurant. It was like a Nigerian name. I'm like, oh, okay. I always like seeing Nigerian industry because it was rare. Like
Yeah,
Dubai
like
is
Dubai.
popular now.
Yes.
10 years ago, like
It's true.
nobody really was. You know what I mean? So it was the whole part of me even being in Dubai in the first place was the whole story. But obviously, when I would see Nigerians, it would be exciting. So he was like, oh yeah, he works for, he did operations for a healthy food concept, and he really liked my blog. Because my blog was, I was doing restaurant reviews, but it was fit foodie. So I was doing food and fitness things. But at this point, I wasn't coaching anyone. I was just like, it's just like someone who enjoys it. So I was just like creating content around it, but not from like an expert level. In any case, so he's like, oh, have you ever thought about starting a restaurant before? This is me in my office wondering, you know what? Actually, I have this zero clue.
What?
Right? Because I work with so many restaurants, I thought I knew what it took.
Yeah.
And that like oblivious, you can do anything mindset that I had was amazing. Now, knowing what I know now, I would
Really?
I would never have started a restaurant. But I was just like, I can do a restaurant, whatever. What I knew was that I could get people to come to the restaurant. I didn't know that I could run a restaurant. And he's like, that's what he does. Like, he's an expert in like operations. I'm like, okay, together, I'll handle the marketing. You handle operations. Let's do something. So we found we call them shared kitchen spaces, and they've become quite popular now. Dark kitchen.
Yeah.
We found a dark kitchen in like Business Bay, and we're like, okay, we'll take it for the month. We did the math. It works. I even did stupid things like, I would never do that now, right? So I named all my menus. I built the menu. I'm like, this restaurant concept has to be Nigerian food, but it has to be healthy Nigerian food because that's what I do. That's what I'm known for. So at the time, like poke bowls were going crazy. You know how you have like Chipotle? You have so many bowl concepts, but bowl concepts are going crazy. I'm like, imagine a Nigerian bowl concept, right? Groundbreaking. And that is what we launched. So I launched Catfish. We had like jollof bowls. And we had dancing with, which was like jollof rice, little bit of greens, like a red pepper mango slaw, hot honey chicken. We had our talking drum, which was like jollof quinoa with salmon. We had it with, I think, plantains. Then we had like a Sahara bowl, which was jollof hummus with obviously falafel, because obviously we're in Middle Eastern. So we had all these bowl concepts. Every bowl was tied together really strongly with jollof.
You said your side was the like getting people to come to the restaurant, but did you get involved in like the operations at any point?
Okay,
and how was that?
You're hitting the team. So again, I think these are the hard lessons that you learn. I mean, again, looking back, I was just like really strong-willed, and I knew that I could launch this concept. So the first day we launched, we had a line out the door. I had told everyone, imagine writing for years that on the blog and then building friends in the food industry. We were on the cover of magazines.
Wow.
Like I smashed the PR because that's what I do, right? And I'm like, oh, now we actually have to run the restaurant. Wow. So it was operationally, I stayed away. I just relied really heavily on my partner at the time to just handle all things operations. But then like there were a couple of things that kept coming up, and I'm like, okay, actually, I need to get a bit more involved. But again, like I really wasn't trying to be so involved. And then COVID happened. When COVID hit, my business partner at the time had to, move back to the UK. I was stuck here with like a team of, at this point, we've gone past the dark kitchen. Like we had opened like 2 branches, and I was stuck here with a team of people I didn't hire because I wasn't interested in operations and just managing suppliers, managing just all the madness that I refused to manage. And I was like, wow, crazy times. Eventually, we ended up closing down. I ended up firing the team. It was just a really, really impossible time to navigate. And it just left a really bitter taste in my mouth, but also like very hard lessons learned. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, restaurant business, okay, great. It's been great. We built such a great community, but I'm just like, I don't know about all of this. Anyway, fast forward to 9 months later, I had pivoted hard in COVID. I was now doing coaching, but I was coaching, helping women build brands, because all of my experience at this point had been in brand building. And I just always thought, with the way that my restaurant like blew up, I always just thought, if I, who didn't know anything about business, could launch a concept and get numbers behind the door, imagine how much more the women who actually have established expertise could do if only they had a voice, if only they had a presence, right? Up until those time, like I was just running everything based on, I have a presence, had a voice. Like every single business idea, and I've had a lot that I've launched, my first customers have always been in my audience. So very, very early on, I've always known that having an audience has just been life-changing. Even for the restaurants, like investors, they came off of Instagram DMs.
Wow.
One girl had, like it was Lebanese. She used to order from us, right? And then she ordered one day and she didn't like the food. She had a complaint. So she DM'd us and she's like, oh, I really like your food, blah, blah, blah. But this time I ordered and this happened. So I just talked to her. She's like, listen, I want to talk to you. Are you looking at investors? I'm like, oh, people can give me money? Okay. So we had the conversation and she invested, bringing it back to post-COVID. So now I was coaching, helping 1 or 2 people. I had DigiBoss essentially helping them build their brand and stuff online. And then one of my clients was like, oh, Gbemi, I really loved your restaurant Catfish. What happened? I was like, so and so. I didn't really understand the operation. Our partnership broke off, and it was just hard to continue. Obviously, COVID restrictions in Dubai, like lockdown was serious. You really couldn't go anywhere. So in any case, she's like, why don't you start again? I'll back you up. I'm like, sorry. She's like, let's do it again. I'll back you up. I have a partner interested. She works in finance and she basically helps people invest. She's like, oh, can you come to my house and cook for me and this guy? I'm like, okay, cool. I went there, carried all my groceries. I cooked the food. And he was like, yeah, let's reopen. Let's put money behind it. So I was able to raise just under like $500,000, just under.
$500,000. Dirhams, okay.
Yeah. So, we did it.
That's a lot of money still.
Yeah, we did it. We started with a smaller concept. We did essentially a container. So we opened in a park.
Okay.
And we did like 2 containers and we built out the entire kitchen. It was really, really cool. And this time around, I'm like, I have to be involved in operations. I have to understand everything that makes this business work. I think I struggled with, because obviously when things don't go your way, you're always looking at like, okay, what could you have done better? And I realized that actually one of my biggest issues was I wasn't involved with 360. I believe that anything that you do, any business that you do, you should understand how things work, especially when there are things that are essential to keeping the lights on.
Yeah.
And partnerships are great, but then also like you should carry your own weight essentially if you need to. So did that, did a few courses on operations. I was like, this time I'm doing it my way. I'm running an all-female team.
Oh.
I was like, Black women power, bro, 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 bro. Really tried to do it that way. And it was great. I feel like we never quite recovered our operational hurdles. And the restaurant industry is a good one to be in, but it's also unforgiving. Margins are tight. And you really need to optimize your operational flow to make money. And long and short of the story, my partners wanted to scale. I didn't want to scale because I felt like we needed to fix everything.
The issues.
Because if I'm scaling operationally, we haven't fixed these issues. I'm now dealing with a much bigger headache, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, the only way to grow and make more money because of such tight profit margins was to expand. So that's where we hit like a loggerhead. And I was like, okay.
That was the end.
It didn't really feel like this was the path I wanted to go down. And as soon as I really got involved in operations of the restaurant, I'm like, yeah, there are many ways to make money. I don't think this is the way I want to be making money.
It seems stressful, but what was like a memorable experience having a restaurant?
Yeah.
Maybe like someone you served or someone who returned food or a particular dish that just stood out, something.
I think in general, it's just the community. Like people really love Catfish. There is even up till now, like I still get DMs, when is Catfish coming back? It's so funny. I even got a client the other day. She messaged me and she's like, she's a pretty high profile client. And she's like, I used to order your food all the time. I'm like, yeah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is what I do now. She's like, okay, fine. Can I still eat your food?
With tasting the menu, not of Catfish, of the ones like you made for me, it feels like those menus are inspired by Catfish, are they?
Yeah, they are.
Because when we're describing the jollof and this, I'm just like, this looks like a menu. This looks like that.
Very much so. So I feel like because that's how I like to eat, and it's just like really inspired the work that I do now is I still want to eat Nigerian food. I don't want it to be covered in oil. I don't want it to, be fried. I want it to be balanced. I want to be able to enjoy it and still feel like I'm, enjoying a meal. And because I'm eating food across so many cuisines, I feel like I like to bring that into the food that I make now, where it's like, it's more balanced. There's nothing inherently wrong with the food that we eat, but we just don't balance our food as well as we should. So yeah, very much inspired by that.
I was going to ask you if you were going to bring a restaurant back? Maybe not Catfish or something, but it seems like you have PTSD from the experience.
I really have PTSD, but you know what they say is like, I know what not to do now, and in many ways than one. I feel like I might still do a food concept. I personally will not run a restaurant, but I have a food concept if I can partner with the right operators, or if I can invest in someone who wants to run a restaurant, then that's like a part that I see myself following. But for me to physically run a restaurant, yeah, no, it ain't happening. It's just not.
And you're writing a cookbook. It's like you're still involved in food, but like a different way with the cookbook.
Yeah. So I've always loved food. Like I feel like it will never go away. And I feel like I'm lucky because the work that I do does allow me, you know, like still play around with food. So with the cookbook, it's a lot of recipes, again, inspired by Catfish, inspired by the foods I've eaten around the world. And it's also more than that, it's more like I want people to understand that they can cook Nigerian food in a way that doesn't harm their health, in a way that they can still hit their body goals.
Yeah.
And that's really what I want to put out there for sure.
With Nigerian foods though, and what I've noticed in like the past week that I've been around, is there's an interesting way that Nigerians love to eat. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I think Nigerians also really like the variety of things. So like, we tend to like pack our plates. And what do you think about it, and what can we change about it? Like even outside cooking with less oils, just the way we
consume food.
And consume food.
Even like when we were younger, I remember like my mom would play the rice would be like this, and I would sit down when what's called bread. You'd be like, you can't have the bread. And I'm just like, why? You know what I think? I haven't lived here. I mean, I lived here till I was 16, and I left, and you know, I've come back now. I feel like Nigeria is just very stressful, and food is very comforting.
Yes.
So I think a lot of times when we sit down to eat, is like, let me just enjoy myself. Like I feel like that's the attitude that we have towards food. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to take your enjoyment away, but I just want you to be more mindful about consuming. And I think that if you're mindful about consuming and you don't take all your pleasure from food, you can then start looking at other areas in your life where you can actually find pleasure. So with my coaching, I like to do a lot of like 360 work where it's not just food and nutrition, food and fitness, like what else is happening for you? What are you looking forward to? Because I think that people just give too much importance to food. Food is great. Food is amazing. Don't get me wrong. But like we center a lot of our emotions around food, and that's when people spiral. They get really stressed. They eat more. They're fighting with ABC. They eat more. And it's just giving food too much power.
That's actually right. Because like speaking about how we eat and getting comfort, I wouldn't think that I would get comfort from food. I wouldn't say that, I'm a comfort eater. But I realized while we were talking that sometimes I'll decide that, let me just eat this portion of pasta so I can just be knocked out and sleep, or pounded jam. I know that I'm gone and I won't have to like deal with anything. So actually, look, a lot of us comfort eat and we do not know.
Yeah, it's a thing. I think it's just balancing it, right? There's nothing wrong with like enjoying it. Like it's human nature. And food brings us together as like families, but also like just again not giving it too much importance, because what then happens is that we don't understand what we're doing, and then 3-4 months down the line we're like, okay, what to put on, how you
what to put on,
because you didn't know when it was happening, and then you're now like struggling to change these habits. So I think just being mindful from the get-go can just save us a lot of like, and also help us deal with the actual issue, right? If you're stressed, then maybe you need to be looking at what's stressing you as opposed to eating this bowl of food in front of you. So yeah, just thinking outside of food.
On the topic of putting on, why do women carry fat around their mid-region? I feel like that is where we struggle the most. That's where I've struggled. Yeah. Because growing up, I've been someone who struggled to gain weight or to add weight. And then when my body decided that, okay, and also when I started eating like a normal human being, my body was just like, okay, well, we're going to add around your back and then your stomach. Maybe not your butt, but your back, your stomach, your jeans will be tight in very weird places, and you just feel uncomfortable in your body. So why is that fat distribution for women, and why is it easier for guys to just
well, I mean, fundamentally, like our bodies operate differently, right? So for women, there are a couple of things. One is just our hormones and the way that they work. And also the fact that we tend to carry in our belly, especially our lower belly area, is because they're protecting our organs. So I think a lot of the times, like, a woman wants to just be super, super flat. But sometimes when you look to the side, you can still see that there's a bit of, it's just like our body's way of protecting us. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I feel like there's nothing wrong with having healthy amount of fat on your body. As we get older, or as our hormones are messed up, because now we're exposed to so many like hormone disruptors.
Yeah.
You tend to like hold belly fat, and that could also do with like your stress levels. It could do with how much sleep you're getting. It could do with how you're timing your meals, your circadian rhythm. So there's a couple of factors. When it comes to men, right, people don't actually realize this, but like men, they have a 24-hour hormone cycle where, you know, they get new hormones shot every single day. But as women, we actually have a 28-day hormone cycle. So we go through like 4 phases, right? Like you obviously have your period, your luteal phase and all of that. And it's like I'm never really the same person throughout the month, right? Until your period comes, and then it's like pre-period, you're like, oh, irritated, annoyed. You have your period. Then maybe after your period, you're like, okay, energetic. And then your body is back into this like baby processing mode, which we feel it more as we get older. And our hormones are different at every point in time. Like your level of estrogen, progesterone, all of that during these cycles, very, very different. I recommend every woman to track, because sometimes you start, like last week, I was acting a little bit crazy. And I was like, what is going on? He was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, pre-period week, okay, I get it now. And you just start to learn more about yourself. And I think like it's working with that in terms of like programming your workouts, making sure that, you know, you're getting your strength training in, which is very important for just managing your hormones as well. We need a good level of muscle, you know, you're walking, getting your steps in daily, but also like still giving yourself grace. Like a woman is meant to look like a woman. We're not meant to be like, you know, fat free. We're meant to have like a healthy amount of fat, but you should still feel good and sexy. But don't let like social media or these impossible body standards like define what you think you should look like.
I just thought of something.
Tell me.
Is it possible if everyone decides to, like, for everyone to be able to have abs or not?
Do you want an honest answer?
Very honest, because I'm just like, I don't know if I should change my thing to be like, baby, I want abs. Because I saw your picture on Instagram. I'm just like, no, I actually want abs now, not just a flat tummy.
Okay, so I think abs are also largely dependent on your genetics. Some people will naturally just, you know, have it because of where they store fat. So some people store less fat around their tummy area. It's the same way like we have different boob sizes, or you have different bum sizes, right? I do think that I can get anyone to have visible, you know, even if it's not 6, like 4 abs, but it will require really extreme dieting.
So you'll be hungry?
Yeah, it's not healthy.
Ooh.
Right? And I don't believe that. So have you seen those bodybuilders?
Yeah, they say they're always hungry.
And their hormones are fucked up. Some of them have their hair is falling out. Their like, you know, sexual desire is like through, you know, just down.
Yeah.
It's not a healthy thing. It's more like, it's like a sport. It's not something you do for your health per se.
Yeah.
You know, it's more like, let me see how far I can take my body. Because you can actually take your body there. Is it the healthiest thing? No. So we really look at like genetics and physique. For most women, you will get to a physique or a level of body fat where you're like, actually, I look really good. Very few people want to go all the way to be like, okay, I don't want to see a single, and you can't even maintain it for very long. For a lot of people that compete, they like shred really tightly for like the week or two going to a competition, and then after that, like you have to refuel, because you can't actually maintain that level of no body fat for so long. Yeah.
So probably no abs for me.
Well,
I don't like being hungry, so probably no abs for me. So now we are at the game section of the day talk. Sure. Okay, let's play a game. Anyway, so I ask Gbemi her best whatever, and she tells me what it is. And also this will be very relevant to her life, hopefully, by God's grace. Okay, so firstly, your best smoothie combo.
Ooh, okay. I like berries, orange, I know, a little bit of spinach, like blueberries with orange juice, a little bit of milk and spinach. Don't even knock it until you try it. It's like a berry but fruity, but like bright.
Is the orange that's actually throwing me off?
Yeah, the orange juice in there is weird, you would think, but it's so good.
I would try
like
that.
Frozen berries with orange juice, a little bit of milk, and then spinach. I will send you the exact recipe.
Okay, so next one, best underrated workouts.
Ooh, underrated.
Yeah.
I mean, walking.
Best guilty pleasure.
Like
Food-wise.
a dessert.
Maybe like desserts.
I don't think I have like specific go-tos. I would genuinely like eat anything.
Coca-Cola?
Yeah, I like Coke, but it doesn't even feel like I don't feel,
doesn't feel like a
like, you know,
guilty
I'm doing
pleasure.
something bad. I'm thinking, what do I eat that makes me feel like I'm doing something? Okay, there are these like cookies, border cookies. They're butter.
Ooh, the buttermilk Scotch one.
Yes, that. That feels like it feels like I'm committing a sin, but it's so good.
It's so good.
It's so addictive.
Oh my goodness! There was a time that I had a taste. I think in church, I went all over to find like a big pack
No,
of it.
I hear it. I won't confess my full sins, but yeah, no.
Oh.
That shit is it's
Okay.
fire.
It's
Yeah.
fire. Best, worst fitness trend.
I don't think there's one thing. I think it's this idea that because A is doing this, that you should do it too. I feel like people don't really work with themselves and their body. So like, let's put Pilates out there, right? Pilates is a great workout, but then like Lori Harvey did it,
Yeah.
and then everybody's like, oh, Pilates, this Pilates, that. Okay, like, you know, it's really not for everyone though, but it's just this idea of like, oh, because one person did A to get results, and if I do A, I will get those results, and it's actually false. Like a lot of us, there's more nuance to it.
Best drink to order on a first date.
You know-
Soda water thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I can hear what you're saying with my ears. Really open my hair well.
Okay. Best excuse to skip a workout.
Period.
Mine
Because
is
it's
a
real.
cold.
A cold.
Yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
flew. I feel like I would just infect everyone in that gym, and I can barely
Valid.
live. Okay. Best workout hairstyle.
My twist. I have these like micro twists that I usually do. It's just convenient. You can wash them easily. Because even when I have braids in now, like it's not as easy to wash braids. But with the twist, like it's easy to wash. You know, I can get really sweaty. I don't really, because I live in Lagos now. Like I don't have to worry about like, you know, yeah.
And
Top
your
tier.
last one, best client.
It's you.
It's me. Thank you. I aim to be the best, funniest client ever.
Wow,
Yes.
nobody can compare.
Thank you. That is the right answer. It is me. So we've come to the end of this episode. It's been lovely to have you, Gbemi. You get to keep your cup also.
you.
And thank you for watching. Gbemi, where can they find you?
Oh yes, you can find me on Instagram at Gbemi Giwa, GBEMIGIWA. If you'd like to book a consultation, you can hit my website up, gbemigiwa.com. And I'm also here on YouTube at Gbemi Giwa.
Yeah, and she's very cool and good in what she does.
Very cool if you can't
I
tell.
can wear my jeans now. So.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Don't play. You get results.
See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.